NEC 2023 Article 551 covers garages, carports, and other detached buildings. Section 551.11 specifically addresses power outlets in these structures. Subsection states that in detached garages, power outlets are not required. However, if power outlets are installed, certain requirements must be met. Firstly, the branch circuit supplying the power outlet must have a voltage rating not less than 120 volts, nominal. Secondly, the voltage must not be less than 240 volts nominal or 120/240 volt single-phase 5-wire system with 3-wire loads connected phase to neutral on the 120 volt circuit and 3-phase loads connected phase to phase on the 240 volt circuit. Thirdly, the branch circuit must be rated at not less than 30 amps. It is essential to note that the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is updated every 3 years. The article and section numbers referenced here are specific to the 2023 edition. Earlier or later editions may have different numbering systems. Always refer to the latest edition of the NEC for the most accurate and up-to-date information when performing electrical work. The code provides minimum safety standards for electrical installations. It's crucial to understand these requirements before installing any electrical systems. In the case of detached garages, understanding Article 551 and Section 551.11 is essential for compliance with the 2023 NEC. Let's break down each of these requirements in more detail, starting with the voltage. The requirement for a voltage rating of not less than 120 volts, nominal, means that the circuit supplying the outlet must be capable of providing a stable 120 volts. This is the standard voltage for most residential lighting and small appliance circuits. The phrase nominal acknowledges that there may be slight variations in voltage, but the circuit should generally maintain around 120 volts. The second requirement offers two voltage options. It states that the voltage must not be less than 240 volts nominal or a 120/240 volt single-phase 5-wire system with 3-wire loads connected phase to neutral on the 120 volt circuit and 3-phase loads connected phase to phase on the 240 volt circuit. This allows for either a straight 240 volt circuit or a 120/240 volt circuit that can provide both voltages. A 240 volt circuit is typically used for larger appliances like welders, air compressors, or electric vehicle chargers. The 120/240 volt system offers more flexibility, allowing for both 120 volt and 240 volt loads to be served from the same circuit. The third requirement specifies a minimum amperage rating of 30 amps. This means that the circuit breaker or fuse protecting the circuit must be rated at 30 amps or higher. The amperage rating determines the amount of current the circuit can safely handle. A 30 amp circuit is generally sufficient for most detached garage applications, providing enough power for lighting, power tools, and other equipment. It's important to select the appropriate wire size for the circuit based on the amperage rating. Using undersized wire can lead to overheating and fire hazards. Consult the NEC for the appropriate wire size for a 30 amp circuit. In addition to these specific requirements, there are other general electrical safety considerations to keep in mind when wiring a detached garage. Firstly, all wiring must be installed in accordance with the NEC and local electrical codes. Secondly, all electrical work should be performed by a qualified electrician. Thirdly, use appropriate wiring methods for the location. For example, underground wiring must be suitable for direct burial or installed in conduit. Fourthly, install ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI protection for all 120 volt receptacles in the garage. GFCI protection helps to prevent electrical shock. Fifthly, ensure that all electrical boxes and fittings are properly grounded. Sixthly, use weatherproof enclosures for any electrical equipment installed outdoors. Seventhly, install adequate lighting in the garage for safety and visibility. Eighthly, consider installing a separate subpanel in the garage to provide additional circuits and capacity. Ninthly, properly label all circuits and breakers in the garage. Tenthly, inspect the electrical system regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Remember that these are just the basic requirements for electrical power in detached garages. The NEC contains many other detailed rules and regulations that must be followed. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes for complete information. Consider the specific needs of the garage when planning the electrical system. For example, if you plan to use the garage for woodworking, you may need to install additional circuits to power tools. If you plan to use the garage for vehicle maintenance, you may need to install a 240-volt circuit for an air compressor or welder. Also consider the long-term needs of the garage. As your needs change, you may need to add additional circuits or upgrade the electrical system. It's always better to oversize the electrical system slightly to allow for future expansion. In conclusion, while power outlets are not required in detached garages according to the 2023 NEC, if they are installed, they must meet specific requirements. These requirements include a minimum voltage rating of 120 volts, nominal, or 120/240 volt single-phase 5-wire system with 3-wire loads connected phase to neutral on the 120-volt circuit and 3-phase loads connected phase to phase on the 240-volt circuit and a minimum amperage rating of 30 amps. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes for complete information and ensure that all electrical work is performed by a qualified electrician.